The Miami Heat can never escape the Bradley Beal trade rumors. Some people around the league have suggested to me the Miami Heat could turn like Duncan Robinson plus Terry Rozier plus whatever into Bradley Beal. The Heat have had chances to get Beal before and haven't done it. Is the price that low going to entice them? Let's get into the video.
Heat. Some people have to me around the league have suggested the Heat could turn like the Duncan Robinson plus Rozier plus whatever into Beal. The Heat have had chances to get Beal before and haven't done it. Is the price that low going to entice them? I don't know. I just don't know what's going to happen here. The Suns, in theory, could just waive him without stretching him, but that just doesn't do anything for them. They just have to pay him his full salary over the regular schedule. So I'd be interested to see if anything could actually happen.
The only way I'm taking Bradley Beal is if they're going to be attaching some first-round picks to him. I'm sorry. Bradley Beal, yes, has he been linked to the Miami Heat in the past? But, of course, nobody wants that no-trade clause because, think about it, whenever you're trying to trade him, he's going to leverage it against you, and now he's stuck on your team with that big contract. So even though it's coming to an end soon, I'm going to need some first-round picks to fix what the Phoenix Suns have messed up. They're the ones who messed up their roster. They're the ones who didn't give us Kevin Durant. So in any deal, if we're ever going to look at Bradley Beal, I'm going to need some first-round picks for compensation. When it comes to the Kuminga trade rumors, the local media are saying the Miami Heat are really not that interested. However, the mainstream media, which is Shams and Zach Lowe, they're continuing to say the smoke is real. So Miami, I think Kuminga smoke is fairly real. Don't know mechanically how they do it. They just re-signed Davion Mitchell to a deal that temporarily takes them over the tax. By the way, agent Aaron Turner represents Terry Rozier and Kuminga. Could come in handy. Let's get into the video.
Miami, I think that smoke is fairly real. Again, don't know mechanically how they do it. They just re-signed Davion Mitchell to a 2-year, $24 million deal that temporarily takes them over the tax. Like that deal, Davion was awesome for them. Flamethrower in the play-in, my God. Great deal for him. Great deal for them. Duncan Robinson has this funky, partially guaranteed early termination option. I have no idea what his salary is going to be next year and where it's going to be. It could be in Miami, it could be elsewhere. So there's just a lot of moving parts with the Heat. By the way, the same agent, Aaron Turner, represents Terry Rozier and Jonathan Kuminga.
Same thing with Colin Sexton. He's continuing to be linked to the Miami Heat. The Timberwolves, Lakers, and the Miami Heat should be regarded as the most realistic trade suitors for Colin Sexton. Sexton averaged 18.4 points per game on 48% shooting and 40.6% from the three last season. The 26-year-old guard will be a popular trade candidate during the next few weeks. I'm not going to lie to you. I think having Davion Mitchell and Colin Sexton, that will be a disgusting two-man point guard rotation. I mean, obviously, you have to keep in mind the Miami Heat are not going to get rid of Drew Smith. Unless he completely drops off you, you already know the Miami Heat, and especially Eric Spoelstra, they love Drew Smith. So it's going to be interesting to see, will they also go after Colin Sexton? I just don't think so. Especially how they just re-signed Davion. I think they're going to keep Davion as the starter and probably keep Drew Smith on the back burner. But let me know what you guys think. Now, when it comes to the backup big, I've said this before. Bam Adebayo, Khalil Ware, and Kevin Love, it's not going to get it done. They're definitely going to need another backup big. The Miami Heat are among the teams that would be considered a potential suitor for Nikola Vucevic this offseason. Chicago has reportedly been shopping Vucevic, with the veteran big man entering the final year of his deal. A trade package from Miami would most likely feature expiring salary and draft compensation. They're not going to get no draft compensation, I'm sorry. But it's also worth noting that the Heat have also been previously linked to Lonzo Ball. But unfortunately, as much as I would have loved Lonzo Ball, he's already with the Cavs right now. Vucevic, I know he's a lot older, slower, but once again, there's really not that many backup bigs that you can get for cheap right now. The Miami Heat are really going to have to see how much is Khalil Ware going to improve. But like I said, we're going to need a third backup big. Bam Adebayo and Khalil Ware, it's great, but they're still going to need help with the rebounding, shot blocking, rim protection, everything. Now, this whole Duncan Robinson situation is very interesting. The Heat will need to either waive Duncan Robinson or renegotiate his contract to stay under the luxury tax after re-signing Davion Mitchell's 2-year, $24 million deal. My biggest thing about Duncan Robinson, yes, is he the best three-point shooter in Heat history? However, bro, his whole career was just so much of up and down, inconsistency. Did he improve at times? Yes. But the Miami Heat, they're going to have to figure this out. The biggest thing about the Miami Heat is they have a bad job at, whenever they have an asset, trying to flip them and get more assets. That's the biggest thing for me. That's what they need to focus on. Everything else doesn't matter. If you can get a second-round pick, you go get it. If you can get an expiring deal, you go get it. But you can't let players just fizzle out and not get anything in return. When it comes to Jonathan Kuminga, he's seeking a $30 million per season deal. At the end of the day, like I said, once he came out and said that he wants to prove himself, he wants to prove himself as a scorer, he wants teams to rely on him, then he needs to prove a deal. If the Golden State Warriors were so hesitant to pay you, you didn't get along with Steve Kerr, you wanted to run the show, meanwhile, the Hall of Fame, Stephen Curry's right there. There's issues with Kuminga, and he's going to have to get a prove a deal. I'm not going to give him all that money, and you really don't know what he can't do. The Lakers and the Milwaukee Bucks are both linked to Andrew Wiggins. Once again, when it comes to Andrew Wiggins, I'm going to need a first-round pick. These people can sit up here and lion cap and try to underrate the Miami Heat's assets. If Andrew Wiggins is not worth a first-round pick, who is? Andrew Wiggins is smack dead in the middle of his prime at 30 years old, and he's a champion. Whether he goes back to Golden State, whether he goes to the Lakers, whether he goes to the Milwaukee Bucks, because the Milwaukee Bucks are trying to build around Giannis. They're trying to convince him to stay long-term. So all I'm saying is, whatever deal it is, I'm going to need a first-round pick. I don't care if it comes in a 3-team, 4-team, 5-team trade, but the Miami Heat need to continue to stack up their assets, and especially first and second-round picks. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. Hit that subscribe button, and thank you for all the support.